Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Finally, another Stormworks Sea Trail video, which was the kind of core of this channel in the beginning. I've been looking at a lot of Stormworks vessels. A lot of them now are kind of oversized, so I kind of don't have a good setup to quickly get these in. But this one here from Sukka Place fits in the standard one. So I'm going to be looking at this offshore support vessel. You can find it under Sukka Place collection, or you can just probably search for this 45-meter SAROSV. And you'll see why I like it in a moment. So it's a very nice ship-shaped looking vessel, pretty much maxes out the standard creative base. And it's got some nice features, so you can clean up oil automatically, as you can see here. But it's really been designed for like optimizing performance in the game, which I quite like. So they haven't used full interior space, so it's a little bit like the Spider creations, but it's not laggy. You don't get physics lagginess, and it's good for multiplayer, which is really important for me. So you can see there, a lot of the space is not used inside. So let's have a look at it in the game. Let's have a quick look at it in the workbench. So you can see there's pretty much filling the normal creative workbench. And if I do a little cross section here, you'll see that there's a lot of void space. So there's a huge area in the back not used, and a huge area in here in the bow area that's not used. And I think that's okay. You know, there's limitations of the game. I'd rather have something that has a few key areas like engine room, engine control room, some utility spaces like a medical area, cargo bay, and that's enough that, you know, makes this kind of vessel fun to use in the game. So I think that's very good design here in terms of not using all the space necessarily. You can just about hear that it actually comes in started up. So we'll do a quick exterior tour as usual. So it's got this huge aft working deck. We've got a small crane here, probably for dealing with things at the back. Maybe if you're picking up a downed helicopter or aircraft, you would maybe use the big gantry crane to pull it in, and then the small crane to handle it coming up the ramp here, or the other way around. So two cranes is very useful. We've got a very nice opening rear gate. So no strange physics there. Plenty of ropes for mooring and tying things together. Not too sure what this is. Maybe it's the fuel system. And like a good offshore support vessel, you've got these very high kind of railings here for any cargo that you've got on board here. Haven't tested the crane yet, but I assume that that works all fine and dandy. Large cargo bay there. We'll just go through one of the side doors. So automatic sensors here, turns the lights on and off, so that keeps your kind of lag from lights. A big cargo space here. Good, you know, utility areas here. So we've clearly got our diving and our diving repair kit over here. So it would be a good kind of dive support vessel. And then here we've got first aid, emergency equipment. The med bay, we've got a winch in here for pulling things in. So plenty of machinery to move things around. So let's go forward in here first of all. So again, automatic lights. We've got the med bay here. In the beginning, I wasn't too sure what these blue things were, but they're nicely designed curtains. So you've got a little bit of privacy when you're in your bed. Oops. Get them out of there. Again, loads of medical equipment, some safety or survival gear here for crew. And you probably can tell that there's a lot of space. You get the feeling there's a lot of space in front of that bulkhead there, but it's just simply not used. So in the beginning, I was saying, like, where's all the other rooms? And I expect to be, some space in front of this, but there isn't, simply. We've got a ladder here. I would have liked a stair to go up to this upper deck. You tend not to have in real vessels kind of vertical ladders. But let's go down here. We've got some nice stuff going down here. So engine control room, which I'm going to use for one of my Alfred Maritime related videos. There's loads of space in here for extra screens. And we've got a nice little mini engine control. As you can see, it auto starts here. So there's two big engines are running. We've got two large modular engines as far as I can tell in there. There's nothing really to see in here. It's a little bit like a real engine space. Today, most of the pipe work is underneath the walkways, and some very fancy offshore support vessels really are a little bit more like this, where you really can't see any of the pipes unless you kind of go through a separate hatch. What do we have here? So this is just an exit. This could be like the generator room. So a lot of vessels are diesel, or let's say hydrocarbon, could be LNG, running electrical generators. So this is a little bit reflective of that. Or it seems to be generator room. So it's actually a small modular engine running those generators, which is fine. Back up here into the control room. And then here, going forward, where you'd expect a large space, we just have this kind of utility space. It's equivalent to like a technical space on a ship, which is fine. You're never really going to use it, but it's nice to have. So that's the lowest you can go. You can't go down anymore. Yeah, generator room, there's nothing in front of that. So again, lots of void space, but it's fine in the sake of playability. I think that's very acceptable. So we're going to go back up here to the deck above. Yeah, so this is like the crew lounge. Galley seems to be one of the coolest things is this. So let's add 10 seconds. Oh, plus 10 seconds. And we've got a little working microwave here, which times down. So if I put it down to 3, no, does it ping? Yeah, so it makes a small beep. Very, very cool little feature. We've got access to the side decks here. So that's all fine. And at the front, large helicopter deck. Got this helicopter, which I've seen used in a few creations. I think it's nice and basic, not too heavy, not too complex, does the job. It's got the equipment on board to rescue somebody, one crew member. That's all you need. Back into the crew space here. We do have a couple of crew cabins. Doubling up here, workbench or work desk. It's fine. And yeah, so this is like a nice crew space here with a galley, with a bit of seating. And then we do have our access to the bridge here. So very nice bridge, large, spacious, which is like the bridge on these OSVs in real life. You've got very good visibility here. We have here a very nice firefighting cannon. So if I go external, you'll see this. So that's very nice like that, just like you get on a real vessel. And it's very easy to control that from within, which I quite like. So you don't really need to go to external view. Same on the port side. And then we've got here our main bridge. So we'll start here. Let's put on some instrument lights, monitors. That's probably all we need. The bridge lights. Got bilge pumps, heating, searchlights, trim here, which is nice. Your emergency beacon. And as I said, engines are started here, so you can check that here. We've got our fuel, we've got our speed. Everything you need here in a nice, easy to read sort of steampunk gauges with a little bit, let's say, minimal, electronic displays here. I do like the electronic displays. I'd like to have a little bit more like the DPS system that's on the Spider creations. But let's take her out for a drive. Anything else to talk about up here? Not really. Thought this was a door at first. This is just a window. Let's take her out. So we just go straight in with the W key. We've got a little bit of bow against the side there. So let me see if the bow thrusters will take me off. Yeah, bow thrusters seem to be nice and effective. You can see it's quite a beamy vessel. We'll just go straight for the sea trials test, so we'll do full speed. So the acceleration's not too unrealistic, some of them just take off. Really depends on how you design it. 2 large contra-rotating props. Normal size rudders, which is quite nice. and a nice shape, if I do say it so myself. That's a good ship shape there with a kind of a little bit of parallel middle body, which is this flat part, the very center of it, and yeah, a good ship shape, hull design, I would say. So good job there in the hull design. If we go inside, we'll see here we are doing 21 knots. That should show up here, 20.9, which is fairly fast for an OSV. But again, within the realms of realistic, which I like in this game. Working radar, so these are going to be things in the water. Let's bring down the range there. Let's look at something off the bow. Maybe we'll see it as part of the sea trials. 6 kilometers or 6 nautical miles. Sorry. Yeah, I think you've got everything that you need in this vessel. So 20 is the maximum speed. Let's do a very unscientific 360. So I'm going to get out my watch here, stopwatch. Our heading is 184. So I'm going to start now, full right turn at full speed. We'll just do a half turn. So she's got quite a slow turn. But again, I would say that's in the realms of realistic. When it comes around to 0, we'll stop the stopwatch. And we'll do this 180 turn for every other sea trial that we've got coming up. So coming up for 300. 38 seconds so far, so it's quite a slow turn. So that was 50 seconds approximately. That's on the record as her sea trial 180 degrees turn. Let's do crash stop. So we'll just try and take the throttle back to 0. And yeah, Stormworks is not really good for crash stop, so the ships basically stop immediately. There's almost no momentum. A ship like this even would go on for quite a while unless you put on full reverse. So maybe crash stop's not a good test for Stormworks, but we'll do the other two things. So we'll bring the wind up to 50% approximately. I don't do this very scientifically, just to get an idea how she handles. And she's moving along nicely here, so there is some roll, there is some pitching that looks very realistic, I would say, or realistic enough. So I would say that's very good for Stormworks in that the vessel behaves not completely unrealistically, so she's getting pitched up by the waves as she encounters them, and there was some roll. Let's go straight up to full wind because it seems to be a very seaworthy vessel so far. So you've got plenty of wind noise there. Let me just reduce the desktop audio. So hopefully this is recording less of the game sound for you. As you can see there, it's very, very good seakeeping. She's long enough that she's not jumping over anything. In fact, I've never seen a vessel with such good kind of realistic behavior. So very good. Yeah, she comes out of the water there a little bit, comes down. So it must be the right balance of weight, or it must be the hull form shape. I'm not too sure really what the key factor there is, but she performs very well. Let's turn our beam on. So I think because she's beamy, she's going to be very stable. And I couldn't see any obvious stabilization system externally. So it looks like she's just a very good shape, which makes me very happy as a naval architect. It's been well designed. So very minimal roll, but I would say So one of the things you measure as a naval architect is the roll period. So what's the speed and the accelerations to go from one side to the other. So you don't want something that is too stable, as when a wave rolls it over, it will correct itself very quickly. And that means you get high accelerations. You want something that's a little bit soft. So we'll roll back, but with not too much acceleration. If you're in the bridge, you can see here, actually this looks like pretty nice roll behavior. She's not stiff in that she doesn't roll at all, but she's not rolling back too fast. It's very hard to tell unless you're on it. I could do the analytics with my little analytics tool, but maybe that's for, let's say, more detailed sea trials. But I think she's got very good behavior there. In side-on seas, let's just bring the wind down to something more normal. Let's go to nighttime. Let's turn on a bunch of lights, spotlights. Let's turn everything on. Turn the heating on. Helipad lights. She's not over the top in terms of lighting. I'm glad to say the lighting is not too crazy. Got two large spotlights, which I'm not too sure are steerable or not. Let's have a look around. Nothing obvious. She's got ballasting here for trimming, which I would like to try. In real life, getting your trim right makes a big difference on your fuel consumption. But I can't see any way to control the spotlights, which is fine. She's got a horn. And one other thing I've been meaning to do is, since she's got bow thrusters, I'll take it back to 0 throttle. And we'll do a little bit of a bow thruster test, not scientific here. So full left bow thruster. You can see she comes around very nicely. Again, probably faster than real life, but again, for this game, pretty good rate of turn, I would say, there with bow thrusters. So very good seakeeping. One of my favorites, might become my daily driver. Although, 20 knots in Stormworks, if you've got to rescue somebody, is not very fast, but very realistic. I think one of my favorite vessels because of the amount of realism you get when you drive her around. Yeah, so that's it from me. That's Sukka Plays 45-meter search and rescue offshore support vessel with oil cleaning. Very, very good creation. Highly recommend it. I've given it a thumbs up. I've given it an award. I've favorited it. I don't know if I've given it an award yet, but I will do. That's all from me. Thanks very much. And yeah, thanks for watching.